All right, guys, so we have MELTAbolic3. So how this is going to work, guys, is we'll no longer be rotating. So everybody's going to do everything from the square they're in. There is 3 sets of supersets. So everybody's going to be doing 1A and 1B. It's 60 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 6 total sets. So they'll be doing 3 of each, all right? And they're gonna do that back to back with the 15-second rest, of course, and then they'll have 60 seconds for you to demo the next 2 moves and to go right into the next 2 exercises, all right? And it's gonna be like that across the board for the entire phase. So for the first 2 exercises, first one, we have a kettlebell or dumbbell overhead tricep extension. So I say kettlebells or dumbbells because we want to use lighter weight for this, and we obviously don't have too many light weights. So if we use both kettlebells and dumbbells, then you have a good amount to utilize throughout the gym floor. So what they're going to do is grab either a single kettlebell or a set of light dumbbells. Okay, you're going to get in a staggered stance position here. So most of the weight is in that front leg. They're going to raise the weight up overhead here. Okay, making sure the shoulders aren't like sneaking into the ears here. They're retracted down. Okay, I'm going to keep my elbows above the head, and I'm going to bend, bringing those weights right to about the neck area, the lower neck area, and then I'm going to try to extend as best I can. Okay, inhale and raise. Exhale, extend. You want to coach them up, guys, to try and keep their rib cage down as they're going up. So we don't want to allow just a lot of extension in the spine here. We don't want to hyperextend. We don't want rib cage flaring. We want to try and keep the abs engaged here to keep those ribs down. All right, so they can either, again, do it with the dumbbells, or they can bring the light kettlebell up overhead. Same thing, that front foot is loaded, the back foot is acting as a kickstand, and they're just going to bend and extend in those elbows, keeping everything else locked into place. Lighter will make that easier, heavier harder. If someone is just generally struggling with that position, you can bring them down to the floor and have them do skull crushers on the back, okay? Next up, we've got the single leg box sit to stand with the dowel. So what they're going to do is we're going to have different boxes out. So we want more high boxes than low boxes. The low boxes are going to be the harder versions, and you really want to keep the low boxes only to the difficult squares, the higher weight squares. So that's going to be yellow, pink, or orange. All right. The high boxes, you want to spread them out to the lighter squares, and you can also utilize the blue and teal boxes to build for the different heights. So what we're going to do here, what the dowel is doing, is it's keeping their hands in a good, safe place to keep them from utilizing them when they go down to the box or when they're coming up. So they're going to have a soft bend in the knee of the leg that's working. The opposite leg is going to come out nice and straight. We're going to have the dowel right below the chin here, so it's kind of like the front rack position. Make sure that they're close to the box here and that they feel good and safe, ready to descend. From here, I'm going to hinge my hips and then sit my butt back, keeping the elevated heel up off the ground. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but reverse it, keeping my big toe down, using the entire arch of the foot, bringing in the adductor complex here. I'm going to drive it up, reverse that hinge, and come all the way up top. All right? We're going to work one single side for a whole set, and then we'll switch sides. Now, if somebody's really struggling here, regardless of the height of the box, what you can have them do is just gently tap the heel, but make sure you coach them up to keep most of the weight in that working leg. So the heel is down for a little extra balance, but I'm still really focusing on that single side, okay? Again, higher box will be easier, a lower box will be harder, and just make sure that you know who you're coaching and what they may need. You also want to think about the height of somebody, so Chloe Sullivan really shouldn't be on a low box just because she's very tall. So even if she has really strong legs, she might be a good example of someone to use with the blue boxes, so you can kind of play with the height there, all right? And use the teal boxes as well to build on top of that. Next up, we have the alternating all joint taps. So for this one, we're gonna come down to the floor. We wanna get into kind of a loose bear crawl position. So the knees are under the hips to start, fingertips are spread, wrist, elbows, and shoulders are stacked, but we're gonna coach them to step the knees slightly back. So we don't need to keep the knees directly underneath the hips here. And I'm gonna tap every single joint with the opposing hand. So I'm gonna go wrist first, then elbows, then shoulders, now I'm going hips, and I'm going knees, and I'm going down to the ankles, drawing my hips up slightly towards the sky. Okay, when I'm doing the upper extremity, I'm trying to keep my hips and shoulders as square to the floor as possible. That's gonna change a little when you hit the knees and ankles, and that's perfectly okay. To make it harder, we're gonna try and have them go through the whole set without driving the knees down, without breaking, right? Without having to take any rest. If they need to make it easier, then they can just gently drop the knees and do the exact same thing from the knees. It's still gonna be a challenge to keep everything square to the ground beneath them, and they'll just take out the ankles, all right? Another thing you could do is, if they have wrist or shoulder issues, is use your toolbox, get them onto their back. They can do a dead bug variation. You could have them even get into a dead bug variation and still do all joint taps if you want to play with that, but other than that, it's a really great, challenging exercise, and if they want to make it harder, just speed it up and stay off the ground. Next one is a kettlebell front rack march. So we're going to grab a kettlebell, we're going to bring it, for this one you're going to want to have a little bit of a heavier kettlebell out because we want to challenge them, okay? It's going to be between the feet, feet are hip width, kettlebell sitting behind the toes, hinge the hips back, knees are nice and soft, back is long. They're going to clean it up into that front rack position, so hands on the horns, elbows drawing in. You want the kettlebell high. They need to make even that easier. They can grab the bell itself instead of the horns, but it's off the chest, and we're going to march, driving those knees to hip height, keeping the ribs down, keeping the abs engaged, and then moving with their breath. So exhale. Every time their knees come up, and we want to try to have as minimal sway as possible. Obviously, they're going to be moving a little bit, but we don't want just marching without intention, without breath, without any real purpose, all right? And that's going to be working on the abs, so coaching up, ribs down is going to be very, very important for that. If they're not feeling it in their abs, you want to make sure to do those checkpoints, okay? Make sure you have them focusing on my lower abs engaged, is my transverse abdominis engaged, you know, the abs below the belly button. Make sure you coach that up as you're going through this. That's kind of an extra cue you don't necessarily want to do during the demo. After that, we've got the long seated banded, oh, excuse me, that's the wrong one. We've got the next two exercises, lateral lunge reach with a wide squat to split squat. So this is going to be like a mobility flow. So they're going to get their legs nice and wide here for kind of a stationary position. Okay, I'm going to sink my hip back, hinge my hip back. I'm going to reach my right arm towards my left foot. Okay, from there, so I'm getting that good angle here in the upper body. From here, I'm going to come back up, do a nice deep, low, kind of a sumo squat with the toes are forward. From here, without coming up, I'm going to twist into a split squat position. I'm going to come back to center, bring it up, reach it to the other side, bring it back, deep squat, split squat in the other position. All right, you're going to just continue this nice steady flow as you move through the minute. Okay, it's going to burn the legs quite a bit, but that's okay. If anybody can't move into that deep lunge, then you could just, or the split squat, you could just break it down. They can do the lateral lunge, bring it back up, just do the squat, do the lateral lunge on the other side, bring it back up, just do the squat. So, or if they struggle with the lateral lunge for back issues, then you can just have them do the squat to the split squat stance. Stand up, squat, split squat stance. So it's all about just control and flow, okay? Making sure that they're focusing on steady breathing as they move through. Last exercise, we've got the seated sprints. So seated position, make sure they can feel their sit bones. We've got a good healthy knee bend. Ankles are flexed, arms are at 90 degrees here, so I have a nice tall chest, nice long spine, and I'm going eye socket to hip pocket with as much speed as I can. Abs are nice and engaged here, and I've got a good upright position. Okay, and I want to make sure I coach them into not bending in that spine here, not losing that posture or losing your sit bones. Okay, you want to try and maintain as they add speed. Make it easier, slow it down, make it harder, a little bit of a straighter leg, and just speed it up.